Hey guys, so today is the first round of the Chess Olympiad in Batumi, Georgia. And at the time of making this video, there are still many games that are going on. But I wanted to cover one of the recent decisive games between the second seed, which is Russia, and Uganda. So this game was played on board 2 between Nepomniachtchi and Patrick Kawuma. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. So Patrick Kawuma is a FIDE master from Uganda. So here Nepomniachtchi had the white pieces and Kawuma had black. So let's see how the game goes. Nepo opens with e4 and we have the French defense from Kawuma. d4, d5, knight to c3, knight to f6, e5, knight f to d7. Here knight c to e2, so this frees up the c pawn, so white can play c3 to support the d4 pawn. c5 from black, so this is a standard move in the French, trying to undermine white's pawn structure. We have c3 from Nepo, b6, so b6 with the idea of bringing the bishop out to a6 and trading for white's light square bishop, because in the French normally black's light square bishop would be considered a bad piece as it is locked in by its own pawn. Knight to f4, bishop to a6, bishop takes a6, knight takes a6, knight to f3, bishop to e7, and here h4 from Nepo. So this is a very aggressive looking move, probably trying to discourage black from castling on the king side. h4 supports the knight to g5, and if the knight moves, then this queen is ready to come into the attack. So white also has ideas of simply pushing the pawn down the board. Queen to c7 from black, here we have a3, and here castles queenside from black. So this looks like a very risky move. Instead of castling queenside, castling kingside would be better, would be safer for black, even though white's pieces are pointing towards the king side. But for the moment, black's king doesn't have any safety issues. Rook to c8 is also one of the moves to consider because the c file is going to open up, and black also has ideas of queen coming to c2, and generally the endings in the French would be quite okay for black. But instead of this, castles queenside from Kawuma. And here Nepo breaks open the position immediately with b4. And here black should probably allow pawn captures on c5 and play something like h6, trying to start some counterplay on the king side. So here this does open up the b file, but for the moment black's king is okay because he has plenty of pieces around for defense. But instead of this, here black plays c takes d4. So this again looks very dangerous, opening up the c file for white. C takes d4 from Nepo, and here queen to c4. King to b7 was probably better, just getting the king off the c file, so the king and the queen aren't lined up together, but queen to c4 here was played by black, with the idea of maybe trying to stop white from castling immediately. But unfortunately, this is too slow for black. Here bishop to d2 from Nepo, so the immediate threat is rook to c1. So here black plays king to b7, we have rook to c1, queen a2, b5, kicking the knight back, and here rook to c2. And the idea is after queen takes a3, here Nepo plays queen to b1. With the threat of rook to a2, this would trap the queen. So the only move to defend the queen is bishop to f8, but this looks quite sad, moving your pieces backwards. You can see all of black's pieces are quite horrible. So bishop to f8 makes room for the queen to come to e7, so rook to a2, queen to e7, black's queen is safe. Here white castles, we have rook to c8, Nepo trades rooks, and now knight to g5, so looking at the f7 point. And if something like f6, then e6 becomes weak, and now d5 is simply going to fall. So black drops the queen back, queen to e7, defending f7. Here rook to c1 check, king to b7, and queen to c2. So if Kawuma doesn't do anything in this position, for example if black plays a useless move like h6, then simply queen to c8 check, king to a8, and here rook to c7. And there is no way to stop the threat of queen to b7 without losing material. The only move is probably knight to c5, but you would lose the queen and eventually lose the game. So here we have knight to c5, so black is almost forced to give up a piece. We have d takes c5, b takes c5. Here queen to a4, so now white looks at the a7 point. Rook to a1 might come in the future. h6 from Kawuma, and here knight g takes e6. So after the pawn captures, then white can play knight to g6, which forks the queen and the rook. So this simplifies things for white. Queen to e8, we have knight takes h8. Bishop to e7, opening up an attack on the knights. But here rook to a1 from Nepo. So looking at a7, and there's no good way for black to defend this pawn. And this is just hopeless for black. So in this position, Patrick Kawuma resigned the game. So there you have it, the first decisive result for Russia. And at this moment there are still plenty of games going on. So hopefully we will be able to see lots of exciting chess from these players. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please subscribe for more future content, especially for content on the Chess Olympiad. And I would greatly appreciate it. That is all. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.